And,
And we're
I can't help it. No, I can't help it.
Okay, we're good.
I wanted to do something kind of like ridiculous to open up the Loki tonight.
and
Everybody
why
welcome
not?
in. Yeah, you got to. Everybody welcome
love
in.
it.
We have DC and Michelle Dew, and obviously we
Hello.
have the Explorers, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Trying to see who we have in right now. We have DAV's in, Eric's in. So welcome, everybody. Presidential Taurus is here. How are you tonight? So we're here to talk
Hey.
Loki.
Let's
Yeah,
do it.
thanks for having us in.
Yeah.
This is our new weekly thing. For those of you who don't know, we're crazy people. There's my Marvel shirt. So I had to dress up for the Marvel since I had guest star Loki tonight. If you
I still have Star Wars on.
That's okay.
That's okay. You guys are Star Wars.
It's okay.
kids.
Okay.
For those of you who didn't watch their blocking and talking, shame on you. They built a TIE fighter tonight, which was super cool. I was ninja watching while trying to build some clips for tonight's show because I was trying to take us to the next level, have a little fun. And StreamYard
That's
said,
okay.
no, sir.
It's a learning process, you know.
Yes.
I learned that nobody cares, and but that's just the way it goes. But so we're pretty much hello there, Jedi. We're gonna give everybody a few minutes. We'll kind of shuck and jive until we get a couple people in, and then there were some huge developments tonight. Turns out DC was right last week.
He was so right. I even looked. I turned and I was like, "You were right."
Yeah,
And
he
he's like,
totally
"Yep."
cheated. We all know that he's he is actually Loki. So he's one of the ones in the parallel universe.
Multiverse.
Yeah, you're in one of the multiverses. So you already know what's going to happen in the series. So we're looking.
That's why he doesn't let me snap all the time. I can't snap. I'm not allowed.
Did you see the look, everybody? He just went like this.
Yeah, exactly.
We see you, Loki. So we're going to give everybody just a few seconds to jump in here. And yeah. But anyway, so kind of what you guys were doing tonight, that was seriously cool. You guys build pretty quickly.
We were trying really hard to get
variant
through tonight. Now our X-Wing took us, 3 weeks?
X-Wing took ridiculously too long.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we let ourselves we let ourselves get lost in the lunacy of it all.
Yeah, sometimes we get super sidetracked.
This one gets sidetracked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a perfectionist, so I have to practice on just letting things go and be. Because otherwise I would go insane.
As I said, I've been sitting here since you guys went on at 7:00, and I legitimately have not moved until about 4 minutes before you saw me.
Wow.
I have been sitting in front of computers, tablets, and phones, and they're like, "Oh, well, check this, do that." You know how tech support is; it's always your fault. So,
right.
But all right. Well, we pretty much have given everybody a couple minutes to get in. I have a feeling after some of the feedback that I had last week, we might be a little light this week because everyone was like, "Well, you guys went on for 4 hours," and I was like,
"Wow,
well, no, 4 hours," and I realized that might have been a mistake. Let's see. Yep. DAV, thank you. So let's just dive right in. Let's get into it. I know you guys just finished watching it. I watched the first one again today, and then I watched the second one twice. So let's go with overall thoughts on the second one comparative to the first one. How much more they dove into the character. Go ahead.
You go.
I thought it was great. Like just seeing just the I can't even get my words together. Just the development of Loki himself, like getting to know more, just seeing his personality. I mean, the acting is phenomenal from everyone, I think, in the series, but just getting to see Loki that much more on screen, his personality shining. I'm loving it. It's awesome.
Give Tom Hiddleston all the awards right now.
Yeah. No doubt.
I would add in on this one thing. Last week we went with, oh, look how nice he is, and they're playing with, how his nice he is. His true nature came out this week.
But that thread is always there. Just like, just thinking back in the MCU, the movies, it's like his person, you see that playful, that trickster side of him, like he kind of pulls everyone in, but there's always that mischievous look and tilt,
Right.
Well,
like,
and I like the fact that they used Owen Wilson because everyone just thinks he's gullible, and he even turns to him in that opening scene when they're at the Ren Fest, and he looks at him and goes, "No, he's full of crap. Let's go."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wow, you actually didn't fall for it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like this is going to be neat." Because I think last week you even touched on the fact of how good their chemistry already is.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
So
I can't imagine a better pairing.
After
just two episodes, I can't imagine somebody they could have better paired him with. They could have been a better foil with the amount of comedic acting chops that Owen Wilson has, with his ability to carry drama as well and be believable as someone who is genuinely pissed off and is not going to deal with this bullshit.
Yeah.
Which was really kind of fun to watch it tonight. One of the things, especially when they went back to move forward, and you're in Renfest, which I don't know if you know this, but that was an Easter egg. The Renfest.
Okay, what was it?
Well, the Oshkosh, Wisconsin was where one of the Marvel comic book guys was from, and I'll get his name because I had my notes up and then I just lost it.
Oh, cool.
But
very cool.
Mark Grenwald, one of the editors for Marvel, his hometown is Oshkosh, Wisconsin. So they kind of threw that Easter egg in there for mega Marvel comic fans right away.
Yeah.
So I was like,
That's
I was
awesome.
going through, and I saw a couple Easter eggs, and that I was like, and that was the first one that came up. I'm like, oh, that wasn't even the one I knew. So, but
yeah, so that was kind of neat right off the bat with them coming into their Renfest, and then you see that Loki-ness without him being there. That was kind of cool. So what was the thing that kind of caught you by surprise today? Obviously, you were not fooled by the ending, but what was the one thing that jumped out at you, kind of like I hit you with last week?
That Morbius seemed surprised when Loki went with female Loki at the end. That he actually seemed surprised by it.
I'm going to say it the way it is. Loki's Loki, right?
Yeah.
I would say the one major surprise for me was I'm still getting a handle on that timeline as to one of the things I was trying to grasp at the Renfest was which timeline was it? Was it actually Loki's timeline, like the Loki we know in the series, or is it a different timeline of another variant? And then at the end, when they dropped all the bombs, that took a second. I had to go back and rewatch it because I wasn't exactly sure what they meant and what happened. That was the aha moment for me tonight. Was like when
I'm looking forward to rewatching it, because as I was watching it, I was like, wait a minute, I need to put some more thought into this because there's something much deeper going on. And that we're going to. I'm beginning to think that female Loki is potentially an agent of the Loki that we were introduced to at the start of the series. I'm kind of wondering that if she is a future agent of his.
The start of the show, or do you mean
show.
in the? Okay.
I'm kind of wondering, and he's not even aware of it yet. That's kind of what I'm wondering.
And it was almost like he followed her because he's like, I gotta figure out what's going on here. Like I need to explore this more. It wasn't like, that's what I saw in that look of like, because she's like, it's not about you, and then does her thing and leaves, and he's like, wait a minute, like,
because remember
what's happening?
He's with the time caller. He's already witnessed his timeline being rewound, even if it were just seconds in motion. If they can rewind his timeline by a few seconds, who's to say they can't rewind it by years, ages, decades even?
Well, and Owen Wilson even says time has no meaning here.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
so one of the things that I'm really curious about, first of all, he was not surprised to see her.
No.
When you look at, he may not know who she is, but he was not surprised.
No.
And that was the first telltale for me. I think it was more along the lines of how, is he moving now because he's with, that timeline that can go anywhere, do anything.
Right.
Is he now moving forward, kind of like when Doc explains it in Back to the Future, from that moment, and he's now moving forward in a new timeline?
But you have to remember something when he's reading about how Asgard is destroyed. That in theory has not happened to him yet.
Exactly.
Because it happened later on. So he's reading it, and then you could see his eye like
he started to tear
what am
up.
I what are you talking about?
So I think he's in a new timeline because
he's in a new multiverse.
Well, in the last episode, he had actually said, "I can't go back to my timeline."
No, I can't go back.
Exactly.
So if this is his new timeline moving forward, in theory, when they were having that conversation about what the timekeeper's job is and how it's written, how it ends, what it does. This is kind of cool because they're going to mind screw you kind of Doctor Strange, where he's going to bounce in and out of time and multiverse. So it's going to be cool.
And here's the thing. There's only 4 episodes left.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So all it says to me, this is just teeing off for, like you said, Doctor Strange and the multiverse.
Yeah.
That's the only thing this can serve for. There's going to be a tight story about Loki, but we're not going to get a complete story by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
Oh yeah, we're going to be left hanging.
This is like the half of season 1, if that.
Yeah,
exactly.
We're in for a long haul and a long season break in between, like they did with Mando. And they're going to leave something at the end of that 6th episode that is going to be like, what?
It's going to drive us crazy.
But at the same time,
no, they may continue it in a movie.
It'll still have to be satisfying. It'll still have to be a satisfying closure because to me, the ending of Captain and the Winter Soldier was satisfying. The ending of that series. Did you finish it or not?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, we're gonna go. We're gonna.
No, my 3 days of
Don't
sleeping.
say anything.
It's truly satisfying.
Well,
they wrapped it up really well.
Look at Mandalorian, because I look at that as their new guideline as to how they move forward with their series.
Sure.
Mandalorian did not give you any closure. All it did was open a wound up and pour like gunpowder salt in a flame. I am so aching for Mando that I cannot even begin to tell you, like, the year can't go by fast enough, and there's so much involved.
And we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that in the after show.
At least I feel that Grogu is okay because he's safe with Luke.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've felt that Grogu is truly safe. Because even when he was with Mando, he was always at peril.
Yeah, and I think when you see Loki doing what he's doing now, like all of a sudden, the first question you have to ask yourself at the end of the show, where'd he go? Like, they obviously ran into it. She has the ability to control time. She has the ability to control multiverse. She has the gadget. She was stealing the little bombs as she was going along.
Exactly.
Where did they go? And you see that look on Owen Wilson's face where he's like, oh shit, where did he go?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now what? And I mean, they're doing such a good job of wrapping us into next week. It's not even funny. Like I'm legitimately, I'm hooked.
I was going to say, I have to say the scene with them at the table, that just some of the things in that dialogue was just.
Oh, where they were kind of at a break room?
Yeah. It was phenomenal. Just some of the different statements, and they're like, what's real, like what you see, and like good isn't always good and bad isn't always bad. And just that dialogue between the two of them was just really, really capturing.
Frankly, I can't wait to get to see Owen Wilson on a jet ski because that's happening.
I think you want to laugh, but I think it is too. And Pompeii kind of put everything in perspective. Like when he went back and he's sitting here going, you can go to these moments in time and do anything you want, and
Exactly.
it will not. And all of a sudden, it's like mind blown. And the way that he depicted it, it was funny because I went back and I watched the first episode where the guy he takes the drink from is the guy he threatens to gut like a fish. And something we didn't talk about last week, they don't know what fish is.
Right.
What?
And how he said too, like in this episode of like they were created
by the timekeepers,
by the TVA, and it was like, wait a minute, what?
And it tied together with what he said last week, which is, I'm always behind this desk.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of a sudden, because last week, you know, we always speak kind of, you know, tongue in cheek when we say something like, we're always here, we're always there. Does this guy legitimately never leave the office? Like he's designed to be in that spot at all times?
Yeah, like they were created in whatever this place is. And I feel like these TVA people, the timekeepers, I don't think they're good. Like I feel like there's something coming with that. I don't think they're good.
Are they demonic entities in some way?
There's just something there for me. I don't know.
Loki posed the question in the original episode. Who are you to determine who controls time?
Exactly,
yeah.
And
I just think a lot's going to come from who those beings are, those protectors, or
well, they finally showed them as the statues when they went down. And you realize that one almost looked like Thanos, the one all the way to the far left.
Right.
Then you had a lizard type looking one, and then one that was kind of reptilian. All of those things would usually be symbolic of bad. And then you look at the lead enforcer, the girl. She's not a nice person. She's not a good person. No. She has total disdain for people. So I really am wondering whether or not, you know, are they going to flip the script on you at the end and Owen Wilson is going to join Loki?
Right.
Because he realizes, like, actually what he thinks is good, it's like, it's actually bad, you know? That's, like, even just being in that office when he was trying to get the permission, I was just like, I feel like the judge, the enforcer lady with the statues, I was like, there's something very ominous. Like, I feel...
Well, she also got to talk that she's the one who gets to keep the spoils.
Yeah.
Because she's the one who made the decisions.
Yeah.
And she literally says, because I made the decisions or I made the call. Yeah. I don't know specifically what she said, but she essentially says, even though you did the work, because I said so, I get to benefit from it.
Yeah, and then when they were like, nobody's seen them.
Yeah.
And as Jen just said, she's the only one who communicates with them. So
exactly. Nobody else has seen these time.
And twice in the episode, Loki talks about when do I get to see or speak to the timekeepers.
And nobody ever has except her.
What I thought was really interesting, though, was that Owen Wilson was so on top of his plan that he shocked Loki when he goes, when Loki turns to him and goes, I've been 10 steps ahead of you. I'm playing my own game. He goes, you mean the one to charm your way in and take over? And he's like, no one's ever figured out my plan. Like, I'm Loki. Yeah. And it's kind of like, you know, they're throwing one after another at you. Like, it's going back and forth almost like ping pong. It's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so digging this. It's not even funny. So
yeah, it's really, really good. Really good. A lot of complexity.
Did you guys read in anything to the fact that when she turns to him at the end, the whole screen is red until she walks through the door and then the red light goes away? Do you read anything into that, or is that just cinematic effect?
I'd have to rewatch it because I know what you're talking about, but I was so just in the moment that I wasn't paying attention, if you will. I noticed that, but didn't absorb it. Yeah.
Next week when we talk about it, I'm definitely going to come back to it because I'm going to probably watch this like 9 more times, and
easily. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's all of a sudden, once you look at the bombs before they get ready to drop, there's total color. The bombs drop, and once they go to the scene where the guy goes, they just bombed the timeline, they come back. It's red.
That's when it's red.
I'm wondering if it's cinematic, but as soon as she walks through the door, the red goes away, Loki turns and looks, sees them running, and then makes up his mind. I'm going with her.
Well, apparently there was something that I read online about the female Loki, and I'm guessing it was in one of the comics. Actually appeared as a Scarlet Witch at one point, so that could be something to that effect.
Okay, could be paying
like she's giving that out or something.
She embodied the Scarlet Witch because Loki can become whoever he wants to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she was so that could be because with the cloak and everything, it was kind of a little bit of.
Or maybe she is Witch dressed as Loki.
And then we have our WandaVision tie-in, and there we go.
Well, remember, Wanda, Scarlet Witch, is chaos magic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hence, exactly.
And Loki is a god of chaos.
Yes. So there
dun,
you go.
Dun, dun.
Well,
you guys just solved the whole thing.
Yeah,
Book closed.
Well, when you said about the red, I was like, wait a second. I read something earlier.
As soon as I saw it, the first thing, because I'm when I went back and I watched it the second time, I didn't watch it to watch the show. I was looking in the background. I was trying to see, was there an Easter egg? Was there something on the wall? Was there something that I missed that they wanted us to see? And because once we finished watching last week, I went and I watched everybody else's because I wanted to see what we missed.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And, to see the Easter eggs. And, because they were talking about how Peggy Carter was in the background. I don't know that I saw that, but I don't know.
At the TV, I saw that
but
too.
This week,
and I think that's immaterial, even if she were in the background.
Well, does it mean that, what she was there to control Captain America in the beginning? So there's a lot of things where if she was really there, it opens up a huge door.
Yeah, but which Peggy Carter was it, and which time?
Right.
Multiverse.
So now, once you start playing with time, which we learned in Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3, you legitimately can do anything. You can go anywhere, and you can, set forward whatever you want. But in this one, when I went back and I watched it the second time, I was looking for, is it cinematic? Does Marvel actually do cinematic things, or did it have meaning? And I've been racking my brain, and I figured I would pose it as a question, like, does Marvel do things that are cinematic, or do they have meaning? Because I cannot, in all the movies, go back and think of, there was a scene that they painted a different color to illustrate a point. I've not seen that, or at least I'm not remembering it. So it almost means that red, how did she turn the entire room red? And why, when she walked out of it, did it go away like that? And that's my question.
That is so reminiscent, though, of Wanda, and just thinking of WandaVision and some of the things that she did, like out of her grief, like we did see some of those moments of that color and that pain and agony coming out, like toward, the end when it showed kind of how she created everything out of her grief. It's like, I feel like those different color images were there for I'd have to go back and watch, but I think there were those.
Yeah. Or it could literally be a red herring.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe. It could be.
No.
It could be another misdirection, because that is what I have wholly bought into this entire series, that it is about misdirection, and I think that is what the showrunners and the directors are going for.
Well,
I think I think they are trying to say nothing is as it seems, and I think that's the overarching theme for the entire series. I might be reaching, but otherwise, why would you choose a character like Loki to tell a story?
Yeah.
Well, the store itself has meaning. Roxy Mart,
Roxcon, yeah.
Or Roxcon, yeah. That had meaning. And then when you go into the store, and every single person they interacted with was controlled by Loki. But
exactly.
But he also, and remember one thing, he had his magic. As soon as he walked through the door, he dried off. When he was fighting, he reaches his arm back and grabs the bow system and fights with it. So
exactly.
He used the Force.
Yeah. So the question is
A little bit of that crossover action.
Yes.
how much of it was him and how much of it was her or him as her. It's so awesome.
Right. And that's why I kind of think that she might be a potential agent of his, and he's just unaware of it.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
I think so. I think she might intend to help him, but I think too, it's like I'm just so stuck on like the whole TVA thing, and just it's like, where does that place exist that it has that ability to take away this god's power? Loki, like, it just renders him powerless in that space, and then
Right.
as soon as he's outside of that, it's like he's himself again. Like,
Right.
where are they? Where does that exist?
And that's the thing, I asked that last week, and there's 4 episodes left. I don't think they're going to be able to answer it. I just don't think so. I don't think that question is going to be answered within the scope of this series. I think it might be explored more in the Multiverse of Madness, perhaps.
Here's what I want to do to you. I want to throw the ultimate right at you and see how you bob and weave with this. We're all looking at her as her own individual character. Well, as we saw tonight, is anyone their own individual character, number one? Because the first person to interact with the plants, that's Loki. The second person is Randy, which is Loki. The third one who beats his ass is Loki. Why is she not Loki in a woman's disguise, maybe as the Scarlet Witch, where it's really Loki? And he just simply presented that way. And it's another turn because it's really him in another multiverse, just more powerful or better because he thinks he's the best.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They all do, though.
Yeah.
But
so that's the thing. So it's meaning it's a different entity. It's a different god, meaning that the god Loki inhabited the frost giant that we came to know as Loki, whereas the god entity Loki inhabited this woman in another multiverse. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of, because when they went back and they were talking about the different variants when he puts the coat on, and they show you the pictures of the different Lokis, and they said it could be very similar, could be very different, and I think that was the aha moment for me. That was the moment when I sat there and I went, well, wait a second. Not only is DC going to turn out to be right, it's going to be a chick that's going to appear, but now that we say that, is she her own character, or is it Loki that we've known to come and love, just in a different form? Like, in other words, there's 400 Lokis that we see on film, but he took the body and presence of her for the essence of this part. And that at some point she changes, looks like him, they're face to face, and you see 2 Lokis, and they're having a conversation. And then she switches again, and then because he can't, per se.
Right.
So
because once you're locked into a variant, you are that particular variant.
So I'm sitting here going,
but he could still use his magic.
That's just it's magic. That's an expression, but at his core, that's who he is, though. He can't become something other than who he is as that variant.
But remember, he also sat there and he said, "There's 2 forms of
the
way that I can cast myself. I can
Right.
give you a projection of who I am, or I can give you an exact molecular copy of what I'm doing at that moment."
Exactly.
And I think what they're trying to tell you is that this other character potentially is him as her, and they're going to spin this in such a way where I don't know. I think moving forward, you're going to find out that the variant that you wasn't a variant. It's him. And it's him as her coming back in time to that moment, knowing that they would be there. Have you ever seen the show Timeless?
No, I have not.
You ever want to have your mind blown on a time show? It's one of my favorite time shows. It's called Timeless on Hulu.
Okay.
And basically what happens is we all know that time is a circle. In order to come back to that moment, you have to come back. You have to collapse it in some capacity on itself. Excuse me. And what I'm kind of going with this is in the show Timeless, and I'm going to ruin it for you, by the way.
Oh no! Don't. If it's that good, don't ruin it.
I won't ruin it then. But I will say this to you: if you go far enough ahead in your own timeline, you know what happened in your past. So maybe we're looking at Loki's past from his future, and that he's going back in his own timeline because he knows how. He's learned through the TVA how to do it.
Right.
And now that he went through that door, can he now go wherever he wants? And that's that's what I ended the show on, was like, well, wait a minute. Now he's with, I'm going to say himself, because I think that the girl is really Loki. And that maybe down the road he embodied somebody. He did this, he did that. He took their essence, whatever. I am so intrigued as to what comes next. I cannot even begin to tell you.
You know what comes next? An episode full of exposition. I think the next episode is going to be it's going to be a slow burn. I think.
You think so?
Yeah,
the halfway point.
I really think next is going to
down.
be a slow burn.
Yeah.
Well,
but I think it's going to be full. I think it's going to be full exposition mode.
And I wonder if we get that glimpse into. I just feel this evilness coming with the TVA. I just feel like there's something there, and I just wonder about them leaving. Are they going to, arrive back at some point, because they need to destroy it? Because, like we're saying, it's like the way they're trying to manipulate and control that timeline. But like, who are these beings, and how did that come into place?
I think you're actually describing the 6th episode.
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah. They are the embodiment of because I said so.
Yeah.
That's who they are.
Yeah.
Or they figured out something about, not necessarily an Infinity Stone or something, but they have that power. That's how they control it all. But I think, DC, that you're right on with next week, because you have 2 timelines going at the same time. You have the TVA storyline of Owen Wilson having to track him down again, and you have Loki off with whoever she is, Loki 2 or Loki B, and Lady Loki. And
Lady Loki, there you go.
So if you have these 2 different things going on, and you only have 50 minutes in which to tell that story, I think you're right that it's a slow burn next week.
Yeah. And I wonder too, are we gonna, like, when it was showing the screen and the splintering off of, all those timelines, it's like, are we gonna get any glimpses into other areas that may not be exclusively Loki, but like what's happening on all those splinters now, that and why did she want to create that? Like, is the goal of doing that because then the TVA can't contain it, and
it can't contain her? It makes it harder for them to obtain or reapprehend her.
Yeah,
she has created that much chaos.
Yeah, they're all, because if you notice, the door's open, they're all running out, and even the girl who is controlling Owen Wilson, she was promoted. She grabs her stick and she
grabs a weapon.
Yeah.
So
because that is a tactic of warfare, is to divide.
Yeah.
And create many fronts.
Yeah.
Boy, that sounds like Loki, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yes.
So,
chaos.
So my question really still boils down to, like, next week when they're Jen's back. When all those bombs dropped and all those timelines went off and all those soldiers went running out into those separate doors, I think really you opened it up right there with, you're going to see fires being put out. You're going to see Owen Wilson going, oh my God, what did I do? I think he even may get fired to a degree, or some kind of penalty. And he goes off to try and find Loki. Maybe that's a sub-story. There's a lot of things that came out of this episode that made it so that there's no way you can say it's like nailing Jello to the wall.
Right.
It's not gonna happen. So next week's gonna be phenomenal. I can't wait. Like, I almost want it to be next Wednesday.
I know. It's getting to that point, and then, like you said about the Mandalorian, it's like where you cannot wait to get to that next episode and where is this heading and what's happening, and then we're gonna have episode 6 and we're just gonna be like, I need more.
But to be honest, I'm enjoying not binging this.
Yeah, it's a good change.
Because
I was
the ability to rewatch.
I was about to say the exact opposite.
Yeah, like
I have to be honest with you. I was like literally, I was waiting for Michelle to finish, and I was about to go. You know what though? I normally wait until we're like 3-4 episodes in, then I start watching, because I'm that like, oh no, like I'm the kid who I want to be opening stuff. Like,
and we've done that with everything. We did that because I think you had said it last. Like we started WandaVision, and DC's like, nope, we have to stop. We have to watch every MCU movie in order. So WandaVision was put on hold. We couldn't listen to anybody talk about it. We're like, don't tell us. We watched every single movie and then dove
all 23.
Back, yeah.
Yep.
And then dove into WandaVision.
It was a tour de force.
And binged WandaVision. It was awesome. So I see what you're saying too. It's like that's the normal protocol. I think we do that too. So this is a change to.
But this is good because
take it in.
This is a mystery.
Yeah,
and
it
having it not being binged, it gives us that time from week to week to rewatch the episodes.
Yes.
So that we can suss out more things, so that when we go into the next episode, we can be looking for more things. We can be more aware.
This is more enjoyable in the sense of, as now Disney people, in the sense of, I examine every aspect of Disney now, and this is just another aspect of Disney. And I don't know if you're going to hang out with, if you're going to go to the second stream with me, DC, or not, but we're going to actually do Disney movies, Disney shows, what's coming. And we got a whole list of what's
I might hop in and out.
That's fine. I'll send you a link for it. And if you want to come in and out, just come in. I'll bring you in. If you need to leave, do what you're doing. But I legitimately am enjoying just the back and forth. The conspiratorial side of this is so much fun. It's ridiculous. And I'm truly looking forward to doing this every Wednesday.
Yeah, it is a blast. And oddly enough, I think Loki is art. I think this show is art.
Yeah.
Truthfully. Yeah. I don't think this is just pop culture. I don't think this is pop culture just meant for quick dissemination. I think that there is some artful direction, some artful storytelling, and the cinematography. I think the Marvel folks, I think they're utilizing things in ways that they haven't necessarily done so up until what they did with WandaVision. I know you said you weren't that big of a fan of WandaVision, but there were some choices that they made in WandaVision that went beyond the standard storytelling that Marvel usually conveys.
It was heart-wrenching to me. Like, I mean, it was such a sad story, but it was told so well, and it was just, there was so much depth, I think, to the characters, but it was quite sad. Like, I was crying, multiple, especially towards the end. It was just seeing her grief and everything.
When you finally realized what she did and why she did it, you're like, oh my gosh.
But that's kind of the point, though.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I'm horrible about this, by the way. I will be hands down up front and tell you exactly why I didn't like it, because there's no mystery. I don't watch trailers. Okay, I refuse to watch them. It's either something I want to watch or something I don't want to watch. And
good on you.
I base it on the fact that it's the Marvelverse, right? I'm sitting here going like, if a new Star Wars show came out tomorrow, I don't care what it is. I'm watching it. If there's a new Star Trek series that comes out, I'm watching it. I don't care what it is, and I'm going to give it a shot. The problem that I had with WandaVision was it was so different. It wasn't in the beginning. It wasn't action-packed. It had a story. It took you down a road. And my expectations were up here, and the show came in down here.
For you. I understand.
I immediately was like, oh, my God, it's in black and white, and I just want to take a nap. And everyone's like, well, the next episode got a little bit better, and then by the third one, it was really good. And I'm like, I'm not investing that much time into it because There's feelings, and I don't feel like having feelings. I'm there because I want to see shit blow up. And what I want to see is Vision shoot out of his eye. I want to see people explode. I want to see Tony Stark come in and kill everyone. And, you know, that to me is a Marvel series. And, you know, Winter Soldier, you got me interested based on what you were telling me. And one of the reasons why, you know, like, you know, I'm not necessarily a comic book guru. I like to see them stick to it. And I've heard the rumors now that I've done the research that they're going to make Captain Marvel stick to the comics. And there's going to be several of them. And they're already planning on who the next Captain Marvel or Captain America is going to be. And I'm good with that. Like, I would prefer it stay true to its roots. WandaVision was its own entity and kind of went out on its own. And
but now, it's tied to Captain Marvel.
I'll give you that, but I'm not a fan of Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So, you know, the biggest thing that I would say is with Loki, I think the only reason that I'm other than the fact that I absolutely
it's Loki.
It's Loki. Like, I've always you always want to sit there when he's standing there and he's making fun of somebody, you know, like right before the Hulk takes him and smashes him, and you're like, you know, you're a smart ass god who just opened your mouth when you shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I relate to that because that was me 15 years ago. Was the person who didn't know when to shut my mouth. And I didn't care really what the consequences were. And you know, you have those moments in time where you're like, but with Loki, I love the character. So I never really truly identified with Wanda because of the way that the movies unfolded. She wasn't a primary character. If they had gone off on an Iron Man series where Pepper had died, I would have probably watched that.
And I think that's what's so awesome though about it's like the complexity of the MCU. It's like I think the different characters in those series like speak to us in such different.
Everyone can attach to something different,
you know,
without a doubt.
Very much like Star Wars. You know, just very similar in that you find something and you can. It just holds such meaning, you know, from your own lived experience of just how you relate to that, and then it's just fun, you know, and you get into those characters and the storylines, and I love what they're doing. Like I think it's awesome.
I agree with you. Like with the directions that they're going in, and specifically with what you were saying about Star Wars. And then I don't want to go off on a tangent because I'm going to wrap it up so you can go to bed. But the Star Wars thing is, you know, as I was saying, you know, that one night I went off about Batu, they did not relate my characters to me, therefore I didn't buy it. And it was hard for me to buy it because you took my hero. Like, what did you say about Grogu a few minutes ago? You know that Grogu's safe because he's with Luke. Okay?
Exactly.
If they had brought in a new Jedi and he had taken Grogu off, we would have been like, wait, no. But it's Luke. Because our hero has come back into the fold, and we're now I'm done hook, line, and sinker. Forget about it. Like I'm Mando till the end of time.
If Boba Fett took him, I would have been okay with that.
I would have been okay with Boba Fett taking him too. So
I would have been worried though, a little worried.
I love Boba.
Boba been like that. He's the dark side hero to me, you know. And
but that's what I mean. It's like, what would he do with Grogu? I
don't want to think about it.
He would honor the code.
I'd be a little more worried than
I just don't want to think about it.
No, he's got to honor the code. So he would honor the code. The Jedi live by a different code. So it's just two different codes. And you know, when you look at the Marvelverse, though, they lost me a long time ago, and I have to say this: they lost me at Doctor Strange. I didn't get it. I watched it. I fell asleep. I liked the visual effects and the special effects. I didn't like the storyline. I never watched.
She was the same way.
Yeah, I didn't watch Spider-Man with Tony Stark yet. I just haven't
Spider-Man.
seen it.
It's so good.
Well, because they're so intertwined. I missed.
It's good.
Things, you know.
Yeah.
So by not seeing certain things and the way they twisted them together, I was like, well, where the hell did that come from?
And let me tell you, Michael Keaton as the Vulture,
so good,
tremendous villain.
Yeah,
worth watching the movie altogether just to see
and
his
I
character.
will say, whether it's crazy or not that we watched all those movies in a row, it was really cool to pick up on those little things that, like you're saying, everything is so intertwined that I think it gave me a better appreciation for it, because we binged through it in such a short amount of time.
Feige is a genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just
Hands
pick
down.
up on all these little things, and it's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea.
I wish Star Wars had a Kevin Feige, and I think Dave Filoni is pretty close. If they'll just give him the keys to the kingdom, and Kathleen Kennedy will step back, I have faith in Filoni.
Keep John Favre in the mix too, because Favre.
Of course.
Oh gosh.
Because they need to make him. They need to put him in the position of George Lucas, as he was, and
for directing and storytelling. Yeah,
you make sure you stand over the top and watch the world as the entity.
Those were his, like, he continued his timeline of characters. That's why, like, he is a huge Star Wars fan.
It's like a Kevin Smith. I think.
Yeah, it's so much respect of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I think
brought into Marvel.
He should be brought into both.
Yeah.
He should be in anything that has to do with comic books. Period.
Yeah.
But you know, at the end of the day, we're going to wrap up with Loki so that we don't make this go on forever. And I get hate mail again. But Loki it wasn't bad, but it was a phenomenal show. I love the ending.
Yes.
I loved every aspect of it. Do you guys have any final thoughts on it?
Can't wait till next week.
Exactly.
That's it.
You know, there's no better way to wrap that up than that.
Exactly.
And
there
everybody
you go.
who joined us tonight, this is going to be every week. We're going to do 45 minutes to an hour thereabouts. We're going to dissect Loki every single week. So don't watch if you don't want to see spoilers. If you don't want to hear us ruin the ending, do not watch the show at the time we do it live. Watch it later.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I have friends on Instagram that they're like, we'll watch the show after we watch it because they're on the West Coast.
The viewership is pretty low right now, simply because I know there's a lot of people who haven't watched it. Somebody even said in the chat, I'm watching it right now. Dragon Slayer. So everybody, we hope that you're enjoying this. Give us your feedback in the comments down below, because you weren't in the chat tonight. But for those of you who are here or are not, we're doing an after the show immediately following this. So stay tuned for that.
15 minutes.
It's in 15 minutes. Yeah. Be on at 11:30. So, but for DC, Michelle, Jed, and myself, we all had a blast. Guys, thank you so much for doing this every week.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. This is awesome. Love hanging out with you guys.
Fun. We'll talk to you tomorrow and get some sleep.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Loki on.
Bye.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.